I'm going to start this Belladonna pendant by welding up a piece of purple, and I'm just adding it to a different piece of purple. Oftentimes I'll weld similar colors together, and later on I might mix all those leftover little bits together to create a different shade. But for now I'm welding up, it's actually pink slime, which I feel has more of a purple color than pink, but that's what it is. And then I remove the cut end because where the rod has been cut, there's like a different texture and it can be kind of bubbly and boily in the flame, so I often just peel that off before I start my piece so it doesn't have any extra flaws in it. Now I am heating up the end, and you can see I've tilted the rod so that gravity is pulling the molten glass down into a rounder glob. What might not be obvious from this angle is that I am rotating that rod continuously. I'm rolling it over and over and over. Otherwise the gravity would create a drip, and that drip would just stretch and fall onto the table. Now that I have more mass to work with, I start creating more of a bell shape. Just rolling that hot glass, applying some pressure to, create more of a bell shape. I pick up some sparkling green, that's green stardust, and I'm going to start making the general shape of the leaves and the stem that will become the bale. Now this is a great example of bit work, which is a lot of what I do. I'm adding little bits of glass onto this other section of glass, and that's a lot of how my sculpting takes place. I add things on and shape them bit by bit, and that's commonly referred to as bit work. So now that I have those little green globs on there, I'm going to start adding shape to them with my little steel knife here. And I just add a little indentation to each of the leaves, and not only does that create the, like the vein that would be in the middle of the leaf, but it also spreads out that green glob and pushes it down against the bell of the flower. And so that one motion serves many purposes. And then I go into each leaf and I melt the end of it and I pull it out to create that more pointed shape. And at the same time, I'm melting underneath the leaf where it connects to the bell to make that connection melted in and flow together so that I don't get any cracks underneath. Now I'm using my reverse tweezers and I'm going to pull that stem out. I'm going to wrap it around and create a loop, which is the bail, which is where the cord or chain or necklace can run through. Reverse tweezers are an absolutely necessary tool if you're going to be making pendants and things like that. I'm then going to use the green Stardust again, and I'm going to punty up to the bail. And a punty is a cold connection, so it's easily breakable. I heat them just enough that they'll stick together, but they're not melted together. And that way I can remove that connection very easily later on. So then I pull off my bell from that rod of purple, and I'm going to melt it back to make a more dramatic bell and flower shape. And I'm just using my marver there to help flatten that out and spread out the end of it to get that flare. I'm going to go back in with my favorite little knife tool and sculpt those petal shapes. And after each time I pull back that cut line, I go back and melt in just at the edge of it, because I don't want too sharp of an angle right there, because that's a stress point and that could become a crack. So I melt the end right along the cut line I've just made, and then I heat up the next little section to sculpt the next set of petals. So I melt where I just cut, and then I move on to the next section. Now I'm going to grab my regular tweezers, and you'll see me break that punty connection by just tapping it on my marver. Then I polish that area so there's no sharp glass there, and I'm trying to show it off finished, but getting the camera to focus can be difficult. So here's a picture of some finished Belladonna pendants, and that one in the middle is the one that you watched me sculpt. Thank you for watching, and let me know what you'd like to watch me make next.